The last couple of days have been insane. They're passing laws to rob folks over Social Security benefits and are even getting ready to impeach our president. However, I want to start off with this story about an underwater volcano off the coast of Oregon. A video has been going viral, scaring a lot of people as to what might happen when this volcano erupts.
So according to CNN, apparently there's this huge mile-wide volcano under the West Coast Ocean that is supposed to be erupting sometime soon.
It does appear to be a standalone hostage release of Ethan Alexander, the last known living hostage for his American Jewish citizen, American Israeli in Gaza. Now his family, when they heard this news on Sunday, Mother's Day, did say it is quite the greatest gift imaginable. Becky.
On top of this, a lot of people are adding to this hysteria by making these doomsday-type videos that are actually getting millions of views.
We reported on axial seamount months ago. Now the situation has escalated dramatically. Seismic activity is spiking fast. What was once hundreds of daily quakes is rising sharply, and scientists say this volcano could erupt tomorrow, or even sooner.
Now, the reason why some people are worried is that apparently the eruption could be accompanied by as many as 10,000 earthquakes in one day. However, this is where I want to share the basic facts with you. This volcano, which is named Axial Seamount, has a history of erupting pretty frequently.
Huge underwater volcano out there in the Pacific Ocean by Oregon. It's erupted 3 times in the last 2 decades. So this is nothing new.
In fact, we are expecting thousands of earthquakes simply because the last time it blew up in 2015, 10,000 small earthquakes basically announced the start of the eruption. And then you also need to understand that even though the volcano is huge, it's also situated very deep into the ocean, and the pressure of all that water is basically going to push all that magma down to the seafloor. So even if you're right on top of it when it actually erupts, chances are you won't even know. Now, I think even though it's a pretty interesting story, it's certainly not new, and people have been expecting this volcano to erupt for months.
There's a volcano 300 miles off the coast of Oregon that is likely to erupt in 2025. This is called the Axial Seamount.
Scientists have predicted that a volcano in Oregon is going to erupt this year, but you probably haven't heard about it because this volcano is a mile underwater.
So why are all the newspapers suddenly covering it? Well, I think it's pretty clear it's just a distraction to keep people away from all the real news. For instance, did you know that the Democrats are once again trying to impeach Donald Trump?
Impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolution impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited.
I don't know what this guy means by high crimes, but he must have been high when Joe Biden was spitting straight up bullshit in front of the whole world.
Thanks again for doing this, Mr. President. 2 questions. The first, Florida Senator Marco Rubio described today's jobs report as having fake numbers. What do you make of that, and how worried are you that many Americans are hearing that the jobs numbers aren't real?
Look, I'm going to be very careful here. If you notice, anything the MAGA Republicans don't like, they call fake. Anything. The job numbers are what the job numbers are. They're real.
And what about the time when our senile old president pardoned every shady person in this country in a single day?
President Biden pardoning his family members minutes before President-elect Trump is sworn in.
Biden issuing preemptive pardons to Fauci, Milley, and others.
No one even batted an eye back then. Now, the reason why these guys are suddenly going all out against Trump is that he pretty much announced our new foreign policy in his latest speech.
Yet I'm here today not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. But if Iran's leadership rejects this olive branch and continues to attack their neighbors, then we will have no choice but to inflict massive maximum pressure, drive Iranian oil exports to zero like I did before.
I really want any rabid liberal to tell me what's wrong with that. Instead of starting new disastrous wars, our president is giving our enemies a chance to declare peace. However, he's also making it perfectly clear that he is ready for a fight. Isn't that the best way to use our immense soft power to stop violence? And let me show you how much difference there is between a guy like Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I told you how the Saudis straight up refused to help Biden in lowering gas prices. In fact, the Crown Prince didn't even give much attention to old Joe.
U.S. President Joe Biden arrived in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, hoping to tackle a host of issues, but almost immediately drew criticism for this moment, a fist bump with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
And here's how they're treating Donald Trump.
President Trump is certainly getting the royal treatment here in Saudi Arabia, and even as he was still in the air on Air Force One, the Saudis rolled out fighter jets to welcome him, and then the royal team literally rolled out a lavender carpet.
I don't care about your politics, but surely you can see the level of respect for an American president has gone up significantly in the last few months. Now, moving on, I want to talk about this huge Social Security scandal. Look, folks, our president might be delivering on his promises, but I've told you many times that a lot of the Republicans aren't really looking out for their voter base. And this new Social Security bill is clear proof of that. I'm sure you know that the president promised to remove taxes from Social Security, and even his team members have reiterated this promise on many occasions.
Help seniors on fixed incomes who are suffering the ravages of Kamala Harris's inflation nightmare. It's a total nightmare. I'm promising no tax on Social Security benefits. This cruel double taxation of Social Security benefits only came into existence in 1984. And at the time, it only affected a small number of recipients. Now, nearly half of all seniors are forced to pay income tax on Social Security. And thanks to inflation under Harris, this tax has hit the seniors very, very hard every single year.
No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts.
Well, let me show you how the House Republicans plan to help out our elderly who are having a really hard time making ends meet.
The president said he's going to remove taxes on Social Security. Does this bill remove taxes on Social Security benefits?
The legislation provides an increased exemption amount.
But does it remove taxes on Social Security benefits as promised by the president?
Does not.
Look, giving people a $4,000 tax break is great, but why not go all the way and remove these taxes once and for all? The Republicans received a historic mandate simply because they promised to help us out. And yet, so far, the Republican congressmen and the senators have only disappointed Americans. Now, Derek has a very good explanation as to why this specific bill has been introduced.
But let's get into this bill really quick. So instead of eliminating the taxes on Social Security, they are saying that we're going to give you a $4,000 boost to your Social Security income. It sounds good in theory. Okay, it does, I have to admit. So let's dive into this a little bit more. Number one, it's only for people making $75,000 or less, single, or $150,000 or more, married, filing jointly, and it starts to phase out after that. Okay, fine, I get it, whatever, if you need to do that. Okay, that's not the bad part. Here's the bad part. It has a sunset clause. Okay, it specifically is only for the tax years 2025 through 2028. Why would they do that, and why would they stop it at 2028? In my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I think it's pretty spot on here, is they want this sunset clause in there so that they can come back in 4 years and say, hey, if you want to continue protection of your Social Security, you have to vote for me. You need to donate to my campaign. You need to do this. You need to do that. They are doing this so that they can use our senior citizens as a political volleyball for future elections.
I think it makes perfect sense. These power-hungry politicians are doing it so that they can once again hold this Social Security problem over our heads and force us to vote for them. However, I think this time they have miscalculated as to how much bullshit people will take, and this decision can quite literally be disastrous for them in the midterms. You know what else has been covered up? The insane health benefits of cocoa flavanols. Studies have been done to show that the flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees coming out of a beehive into your bloodstream. And they go out and they find whatever needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. But don't take it from me. Let me show you a clip from Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee that actually backs this up.
Well, clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month. Yeah. And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream, and their circulation improved measurably. And then what's even more important and impressive is that there was a study called the Cosmos study that was completed recently that showed that eating high flavanol cocoa decreases the risk of cardiovascular death.
Yeah.
Right, over a period
like a statin.
Like a statin, right. Exactly. Except made with by eating the same thing that you use to make chocolate. So we're not telling people to go out to have chocolate, which is a confection, which has got a lot of sugar and all kinds of other stuff in it. Yeah. But it's the stuff underneath it, the core of it.
That's right, dark chocolate. But here's the thing. Flavanols are the good stuff found in cocoa beans, but they're usually destroyed during the chocolate making process. That's where Black Forest Supplements comes in. They've created the first high flavanol cocoa powder packed with everything your body actually needs. And it's only 20 calories. I mix it with my coffee or my protein shake. It tastes absolutely amazing. This can naturally support your body's own stem cell production. Meanwhile, Hollywood elites are dropping insane amounts on stem cell injections. I mean, just look at the Golden Globes, where A-listers got $40,000 stem cell facelifts in their gift bags. I've been using this myself, and the results are real. No more brain fog. Energy levels are up, and I feel sharper than ever. Let's be honest, men need to stay strong, clear-headed, and at their best. No one's coming to save us. That means training hard, building endurance, fueling our bodies right, and making smart supplement choices. So here's what I've worked out for you. I've worked out an exclusive offer with my guy at Black Forest Supplements to hook you up with 40% off for the next 48 hours. But this stuff always sells out, so don't wait. 40% off promo for 48 hours. Just hit the link in the pinned comment or the description to stock up before it's gone. Another story I want to share with you involves a radical Republican plan to increase our birth rate.
Let's make babies rich again. That's what a new proposed bill is aiming to do. It's called the Invest Act, and it wants to give every single newborn $1,000 in the United States to help them build financial security. Ted Cruz is behind this. He is calling it the MAGA account, and it would also allow family, friends, and employers to invest up to $5,000 a year in each child's account, and then they would be able to get it out when they turn 18. How much money could they end up with by the time they are of age? Watch this.
And you asked how much they can save if you have a baby that is born this year that starts with the initial $1,000 seed contribution over the next 18 years. If $5,000 a year is contributed at 7% growth, by the time they're 18, they have $170,000 in this account.
Look, on paper, this doesn't sound so bad. I mean, sending parents some direct money would have been great, but this way the kids can have a solid future. However, things aren't so simple. First of all, it seems like the politicians are trying to send Wall Street some money through this initiative. And secondly, how can we trust the system to keep track of any of this money when we were literally paying Social Security to 150-year-old people?
You know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone that's 150? I don't know.
So, unless these politicians give a detailed proposal for this initiative, I don't think it will fly with most Americans. Moving on, another story I want to talk about has a lot to do with those insurance providers who have failed to pay the people of Lahaina and even Los Angeles. You see, on one end, companies like State Farm and Allstate keep canceling policies for people across the U.S.
Households across the Bay Area are scheduled to be dropped by State Farm Insurance this summer. Orinda is one of the cities at the top of the list.
Well, State Farm is being accused of canceling thousands of fire insurance policies in California right before the massive wildfire.
Where the storm came through.
Nissen says several neighbors in this area are getting their roofs replaced, but many of the homes initially denied have something in common.
When I reached out to you guys, the first 8 were all denied.
We filed a claim with Allstate in late July. It's now October, and we still don't have resolution.
And on the other hand, their executives keep getting richer.
That's not what they testified to. That's not what they just testified to. You just heard sworn testimony from multiple adjusters, and they said it happened. One adjuster had only ever worked for you over years in the industry, and he said he was repeatedly directed by you, by your company, Allstate, to change factual findings, to delete material in his reports, to alter his reports, to make them factually incorrect, all with the purpose of driving down the award and padding your profits.
I disagree with this statement.
Well, you know, I have to notice that, I mean, your profits have never been better. I mean, they're really quite extraordinary. Fiscal year 24, Allstate had $64 billion in revenue. That's 12% above the previous year. You made $4.6 billion in profits. And your CEO, Tom Wilson, last year was paid $26 million. Now, Ms. Miguel can't get her claim paid out, but Tom Wilson, whoever the heck he is, gets $26 million. I mean, that's really extraordinary.
Josh Hawley might have some controversial views, but the man is a master at grilling the corporate freaks of America. And I think this should tell you why we absolutely need to keep talking about these companies that are making America uninhabitable. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this new Social Security proposal from the Republicans. Do you think it's enough for now, or do you also believe we're getting screwed? Share your thoughts with everyone in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tune in to the next video.